Hello, everybody. Sorry for the little bit of delay there. We had technical difficulties, but we do have video this time. We made it happen. So I am so happy to be on with Amy Miller. It's been a while, Amy, huh?
It's been a while. How are you doing, my friend?
It's been good. We've had an amazing story this year. I'm going to just tell my story real quick because it's
Yes,
been an
please.
interesting journey. And then we'll get into your story. Oh,
Also
boy. What?
interesting journey.
Yeah, lots of stuff happened, right? Both have updates.
Yes.
Okay. So I was with AARP. I was running their sourcing function up until about the end of January, and I'd been there for about 18 months in a contract role. And that was a really good experience, really great organization, mission driven. I got to do a little bit of everything, working on all sorts of things from tech to advocacy to a wide variety of other roles.
I'm a member,
Um,
by the way. I'm that old.
as am I. So I'm not quite over 50 yet, but um, we're almost there. But yeah, it's been a good journey. So I love that organization. They've done some good work. They have great discounts for folks, a wide
Nice.
variety of things. So
Yeah.
my contract ended on the January 28th, and then I had a really interesting series of events. So I had an interview that Friday with the company I'm now with. This is them right there, Sterling.
All right.
Um, and they're a really good organization. They've taken good care of me. But what wound up happening was, I sleepwalked that night, and I walked over
Mm.
to the edge of the stairs, and I fell down the stairs, and now there's a hole at the bottom of our stair landing about that big. So I've never sleepwalked before. I don't even know why that happened. I had like 3 or 4 seizures. It was
Oh my
absolutely
gosh.
insane. And then, but I'm okay. But then they found kidney cancer. Went to go get operated on, and that's
Wow.
been taken care of. So I am in the clear. All this stuff is behind me now. But I did get, basically a concussion, and again, the hole was about that big. If you look at where I
Wow.
landed, so it's like I was sledding down the stairs, right? So
At
basically,
first.
yep. So what
Oh
happened was, is
gosh.
my wife hears a big bang,
Yeah.
and she comes over and she sees my head embedded into a wall, and I'm kind of laying down. She calls my name, and I kind
Wow.
of wiggle, and I
Mhm.
wiggle a little bit, and I finally get up. So I was sleeping down there basically,
Oh
and I get up,
wow.
I walk up under my own power. I had to
Mhm.
wiggle out of that thing. On the
Right.
right-hand side, the right-hand side was the door frame, and on the
Mhm.
left-hand side was a, oh gosh, it was like a big 2 by 4. So I was about 2
Oh my
inches
goodness.
from hitting the 2 by 4, which is a miracle in of itself. They do the CAT
Yeah.
scans. They find on the kidney a little cancer about yay big. This is the size of your kidney is about your fist,
Mhm.
right? And then they found this little tiny thing on the top.
Oh my
So I've
goodness.
never had an experience like that, but it is essentially a miracle, because if I hadn't hit my head to find kidney cancer,
Exactly.
and so it's so
Exactly.
weird to tell this story, but
Yeah.
oh boy. And then, okay, so then the next thing that happened was, I had my wife reached out to the folks over at this wonderful company that have given me a contract role. So I'm in a
Yeah.
contract role at the moment. And I went in there and I had already prepped talent insights. So I showed them how the talent advisor model works, right?
Love it. Yeah.
So I went in there, showed them Dill Prizo. They loved it, and they wanted me to create that for all of them and all their other stuff. And so that's how I started. So they called me a TA analyst. So I went in
Mhm.
there, showed them all this, and then that's what led to all these events. And then they worked with me throughout all this. So
Yeah.
gosh, shout out to a pretty awesome team for doing all that stuff. I have
Yeah,
to
that's awesome.
thank these guys for all they did, but it's insane.
Definitely.
So here's where I've been for so I have 2 months left on the contract. We'll see what happens. It ends in September, but there's a good chance. I've had a couple wins there and helped them make
Good.
some key placements.
That's
Closed one
awesome.
today, which was amazing. So that was a good thing. How about you? Tell us about your story. That
Oh
mine's a little
gosh.
dramatic, but how about
I don't have anything quite that dramatic,
and I
but
don't like usually saying this on LinkedIn.
no,
I've held back in saying this whole story because I've been trying to make sense of it for the last 4 months.
I
I'm like, what the
imagine.
heck is going on?
But
How did this all happen to me?
I
Like, what am I
yeah,
doing?
but
Oh,
silver linings, my
that's the
friend.
way I
Most
look at it. Yep.
importantly, you're healthy and
Amen. Yes. Amen.
sometimes God works in mysterious ways, does he not? Maybe
Yes.
have Mike knock himself out so we can make sure that kidney cancer gets caught. That's all right.
That's the same story. It really is. I
Um,
still have to, like, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, I'm just like, I still think about it. I'm like, that is the
It's
weirdest thing to tell people.
interesting. Very
And
butterfly effect, right? Like, what if you had not hit your head, or what if you had
amen.
not,
Yes.
had a CAT scan? I mean, who knows?
Yep.
So, anyway, my story is not nearly as dramatic, but I did also move into a new role earlier this year. You and I have talked about this, and it's obviously been on LinkedIn as well. But I spent over, well, 6.5 years, I think it was exactly 6.5 years at Amazon. And I had worked in one very specific business group the entire time. So a lot of times, big tech, we hear about, you get a bunch of different managers, move around and, things like that. And that's a normal experience for a lot of people. I
Right.
actually only had 4 managers in 6.5 years, which is very low for
Hmm.
Amazon standards. And I had worked with this one specific business division, which is now known as Amazon Leo, for the entire time. And I honestly thought I'd retire from there. I loved that team. I loved my people. I was leading a team of recruiters as well. I'd been promoted to a recruiting management role, and really had grown up with this business as well. It was really hard, but I got a call I couldn't refuse, Mike.
I
I
heard about
heard
this. Yeah.
from so I heard from my current manager, CEO, and founder of my current company. Called me up and said, "Hey, we're like big enough now. We need this function, and would you like to come build it?" And I was like, "Yes, very much so." So yeah, so we had some ongoing conversations throughout the spring, and I joined as the head of talent people operations in May. May of the end of
That's
May,
so
May
cool.
26th is when I joined. Yeah, it's been, and I think I know, and there may even be some folks watching who are like, "How did that happen?" I think first of all, I adore this team. I know several of the folks that work here, and I've worked with them in various capacities in the past at different places and things. And so that was part of the draw, right? Like, this is a really great, like, these are good people. There's a cool mission, things like that. But also just the opportunity to build something from scratch. And I've always been the recruiter who is like way too involved in people stuff. A
Hmm.
lot of recruiters will just like, "Okay, great, you've accepted your offer, off you go." I was always knee deep in like employer relations and promotions and coaching and all the things. Like, I would often get those calls from my team and have to pull in HR, and like, "Well, this is actually not my wheelhouse, but let's get you some help." So now it is my wheelhouse. It's all my wheelhouse. I do it all, Mike. So, but I love
Everything.
it. I love it. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, so grateful for this
You
company.
make satellites and you make space
Uh-huh.
systems, right?
And now we're
Cool.
making spacecraft. So yeah, so it's just really, really great. And I'm learning a lot. There's a lot I don't know, but I'm learning, and I've got lots of great resources and partners, and the trust of my team, which is amazing. So I'm so incredibly happy to be here. It was a hard decision because I loved my previous job. And I think if folks take away one thing, normalize letting people leave jobs they love for no nefarious reason other than there's just something they love more waiting for them. That's all. There was nothing wrong. I wasn't running away from anything. I
Yep.
just had a tremendous opportunity that was a bucket list career goal of mine.
Hmm.
And here I am.
Yeah. So this reminds me of my own transition from ADP.
Mhm.
So I'd worked for ADP from, so you remember back when we were on the stage at SourceCon
Yes. Oh
and
my gosh, that was like 2017?
2019 is when it was. That
19.
was that
Okay.
was when we were
Yep.
up in Seattle in
Yeah.
your neck of the woods. And it was kind of cool because, at that time, my presentation was about go where you've never been, try to elevate
Yeah.
your game, get yourself to be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Absolutely.
And I honestly, I live that way. Like
Yeah.
with my little, experience this year, I have to say that I see life in a different lens.
Mm.
Um, I live each day chasing excellence every day.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you've heard the saying, shoot for the stars or shoot for the moon, you'll land in the stars.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've been trying to do.
I
And
love that.
when your journey, you know, when going back to that time in 2019,
Mhm. Mhm.
it was before all the chaos of COVID and
Yes,
change
I
and
was
all
at
the
Google then.
all the craziness that came,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
So if you recall, we went into the COVID world.
Yes.
Everything shut down. I was at
Yes.
ADP still during that time.
Yeah.
I went through 2020 with them, And then I got a recruiting call, and I thought, I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I've been at ADP for 9 years. I've
Yeah.
learned everything about this company that I know. I've learned how to source. I've learned all these different things that I know now. But honestly, if I had stayed, I wouldn't have grown.
Right.
And so I still look back on it, and sometimes I go, I could have been promoted like 2 or 3 times if I probably stayed at ADP. And was it a bad choice? No, it
Mhm.
wasn't. I
Yeah.
go back to the time when I started as an HR intern, and one of the
Mm.
the leaders at Applied Materials said to me one day, she goes, "If you have the opportunity, even if it's uncomfortable, to go grow and
Yeah.
learn more skills, then
Yeah.
do it." So
For sure.
this is what happened. I went to an organization, global nonprofit, um, 17,000 employees all over the world. Got to
Mhm.
learn international recruiting
Yeah.
in Africa, Asia, Europe, things I'd never
Mhm.
done. I wanted to try that, right?
Yeah.
I went through a system implementation of a new ATS, something I also hadn't done.
Mhm.
So that happened. And then I went to agency side recruiting again and got to sell recruiting services.
Mhm.
And then I dabbled in construction recruiting, which probably is what led me here to this.
Mhm.
So it's just so interesting. Yeah, and then AARP,
Yeah.
that adventure of doing tech recruiting and having all these amazing things happen. It's just all these things have been worth it. And even though it was a
Absolutely.
risk, I have to remember that advice. Go if it makes you learn more, it makes you have more opportunity to pull in knowledge and skills and see different environments. That's the other piece of this puzzle.
Yes.
When one environment, you're like, okay, this is how
Mhm.
it's done, this is how
Get
it
really
should be, this
comfortable.
is,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
comfortable. But then it changes. So the reality is we need to keep growing and learning. That's it. And
1,000,000%.
whether that's taking a lateral move to get more experience in a certain thing or
Yeah.
going to someplace else, to
Mhm.
each of these experiences give us the chops to do what we need to
Yeah.
do. That's the
And
reality.
growth can happen laterally. I'm glad you mentioned that because I
Yeah.
I know a lot of folks worry about that, right? Or they think, "Oh, well, I don't wanna leave my current job if it's not a better job or a bigger job or a step up job." Sometimes you have to get off of one career ladder and, like, get on the next one at the same rung, but
Hmm.
that ladder's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So, like, there's different ways to think about growth and what you can learn, even if the title is the same or even if the scope appears to be the same. You're still in a new company, learning new processes, new people, new missions, new all the things. So I just, yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think that's a
I've
really
been wanting to
important
ask
thing.
you this question.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that's really cool about you, you are now like a LinkedIn rock star. You have
Aw,
375,000 followers on
it's a
LinkedIn, which is
lot.
absolutely
Oh
insane.
my
You've got
goodness.
your recruiting and yoga pants blog. You've
Mhm.
got and then you also were invited to do what? Become an interview, uh,
LinkedIn learning
LinkedIn
instructor.
learning instructor. How
Mhm.
did that come about?
They reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in revising this course?" That they wanted to kind of modernize, and there's been a lot of change in the last several years, right? So I said, "Oh, well, this is timely." So it was interesting how that came about. They reached out to me, which huge compliment. Like I was blown away. You can apparently sign up to request, being considered,
Really?
which I did not know. Um, but yeah, they shared with me, that they had this existing course, wanted to kind of add some additional context to it. They had seen my YouTube videos. So somebody's watching besides my dad.
Never know who's watching.
And you never know. And asked if I would consider. And so I was still at Amazon at the time. And so I was had to go through the process with Amazon just to get permission, right? Because I was like, "Hey, I've been asked to do this thing." I was very involved in employer branding and employee advocacy, social media branding, things like that. Um, and then, so I had to work with like PR and HR and my skip level boss and all these people just to like, "Is this okay? Can I go do the thing?" And they gave me the green light to go do it. And as I'm developing the course
Hmm.
and working on the curriculum and, kind of prep, you meet with your producer and your director once a week for a long time. It's very involved. Um,
You even have a producer.
oh
Ooh,
yeah, I had a whole
formality.
like like a whole army of people supporting me and shepherding me through that. They were wonderful. I had such a great experience, Mike. It was just such a highlight of my career. But in the middle of this course development, like kind of planning for this, I'm now starting to have conversations with my current employer.
Mhm.
And so it really put an interesting spin on like, okay, I'm creating this course about interviewing techniques, and it's everything from like initial, how do you even write a job description? How do you screen resumes? How do you interview structure? How do you, do all the things all the way through like, great, you're making an offer, like, don't be a jerk about it, So it covers a lot of ground. It's only 51 minutes. So if you've not watched, I promise it's not lengthy. But it was a lot of fun. And I started kind of looking at it through the lens of like, I'm actually going to go do this for a startup.
Mhm.
So it gave me like a kind of, to your point about always learning.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I'm learning too. Like, what are some of the landmines of a small company that doesn't have refined processes, or, what are like, how do we maintain flexibility and freedom and speed and nimbleness, but yet still bring the right level of compliance and scrutiny and things like that. So it's just been a really, really fun exercise. And I think the course has been well received so far. It just launched on June 29th. So only a couple weeks old. But I've gotten some really great feedback, and I'm having some other conversations with LinkedIn about some future content potentially. No
Ooh,
guarantees. We
okay.
don't know if it'll get picked up or if they'll ultimately choose me, but I'm very, very
Yeah,
honored to have been selected and considered for
it
sure.
reminds me of, when you have these conversations and you're
Mhm.
out there. I mean, that's the if there's one takeaway from
Yeah.
today for both, from my journey and yours, it's
Mhm.
do not be afraid to
Yeah,
take a risk when the timing is right.
absolutely.
And it's also on the other flip side of this coin, there's a lot of young people today. I'm
Mhm.
saying that now. I sound like I'm old. But
We
there's a
are
lot of
AARP members, so, we're
yeah. Well, and so one of the things I would say is if you're younger in your career,
Mhm.
always keep the bridge intact,
Oh, for sure.
regardless of what's happening at that
Yeah,
employer, what challenges there are. Because every single
totally
employer
agree.
has a unique set of circumstances. Leave everybody better than how you found them.
Yeah,
Leave the situation positively,
I like that.
have a
I think that
positive
that
impact.
yeah.
Because I will say, I've seen circumstances where people say, they ruin their brand by how they close the
Mm,
door. So the
yeah,
way you close the door on every situation is essentially a powerfully uh, career branding mechanism that
it is.
follows you.
Yeah.
There's also a
Mhm,
karma factor.
mhm.
So treat everybody with the humanity they deserve. Like,
100%.
I mean, we are in, I mean, look at what you and I were just having this dialogue the other day. Candidate
Mhm,
experience
mhm.
is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's all these myths that you try to
Mhm.
address. I think there's so many things that drive me bananas, like that the ATS is what
Oh,
rejected the
goodness.
candidate, and no, the human being rejected the candidate
Yeah,
most of the time.
I know.
Or I mean, there's just so many myths about how the whole process works,
Yeah,
which is why we
yeah.
need to keep being clear about what it actually
I
entails.
I agree, and I think that's the frustrating part, Mike, because you and I both know this, but the reality is every company and even every recruiter within those companies is gonna have their own process. So
Correct.
we can't even say for sure, like, oh, that recruiter definitely did a thing or that company definitely does a thing, because we don't know if we don't work there. But we do have enough industry knowledge and exposure and expertise to know what's likely to have happened.
Yep.
And I know there's also a lot of people who are like, well, why do you even talk about it? Why do you even care? Like, stop talking about the ATS or whatever, just as an example. And the reality, Mike, the reason I do talk about it is because I've seen the actual harmful is a strong word, but harmful behaviors that if you believe a certain narrative, you will structure your job search around that narrative, and it
Exactly.
actually reduces
Yep.
your odds of being
Yep.
selected. So that's where
Yep.
my concern and
Hmm.
some frustration
Yes.
sometimes
Yep.
comes from, because I
Yep.
see people trying to solve a problem
100%.
that doesn't exist.
Yep.
and it's actually creating more problems for them, and they don't know that. They're not experts in hiring and
Yep.
recruiting and ATSs, so they shouldn't know. But,
Which is how this is
yeah,
how your influence grew, is
yeah,
because you were speaking the truth on the factors that people wanted to hear,
better or
and you
worse.
said, and well, okay, but you're also a master of, self-branding. My favorite thing that you just recently
I
did,
try.
was when you dressed yourself up like Princess Leia just recently, and you had the little
That's a good
R2D2,
one. Yeah,
and you're going like this.
help me.
Man, you're so good at that stuff,
I love
and
Star
and
Wars.
it's
I got a Boba
okay,
Fett costume,
but
I got it all.
it's fantastic, and I mean, so here's the thing, I mean, here's what you can learn from Amy, everyone, is that have a sense of humor and influence for the right reasons,
Yeah,
find your professional association, be active
mhm,
in it, try to help people out. This is why I do this blogcast. This is why
yeah,
Amy does her content. We believe in spreading the truth and trying to do the right thing for the right reason.
yes.
And so unfortunately, with the growth of AI, there's been a few other things that come to
Mhm,
mind.
yeah,
Let's talk about the big elephant in the room
do
right
it.
now, which is the auto appliers
Yeah,
that send these. Okay, these folks there's these people that have capitalized on a big thing, that job search is a pain. And
mhm,
so what they've done is they've tried to say, "Oh, well, we've got a simple fix for that. Let's
yeah,
auto apply for you."
mhm,
The problem is that the auto apply mechanism doesn't always do the quality of your application the way
right,
you would want it to do,
right,
and it floods
mhm,
multiple resumes into already. You look at all the history of what's happened up to this
mhm,
point and since 2020, and you add to the fact that recruiters are now overwhelmed,
yeah,
and staffing teams are smaller and more robust, you're not as
yeah,
robust as they used to be.
for
it's
sure.
it's the perfect storm. It's the perfect
It
storm.
is. Yeah,
I don't recommend those auto appliers,
I do
honestly.
not either, so we're aligned on that for sure. Here's people often misinterpret this to mean that I don't think recruiters or candidates rather, that I don't think candidates should use AI or I don't think candidates should use tools or whatever. That could not be further from the truth. I want you
100%
to
true.
use
Yes,
the
you should
things
use
that
those
that
things.
make
Yes.
sense. I want you to
Mhm.
use the things in a way that enables you
Have human
to
in the loop and check what
exactly.
it
Got to have a
spits
human
out.
in the loop, but
That's important.
I've used Chatty G to like help me write this
Chatty
job
G.
description. What am I trying to say here? So like I have my own
Me
uh
too.
I'm not above getting some support. But the auto applier, there's two issues. First of all, does the auto applier actually present your best self? Like whatever resume or application data you've
Right.
uploaded, whatever you've given that applier, does that truly represent your best fit for whatever roles it's going to go apply to for you?
Mhm.
Which unlikely. And then secondly, how does that auto applier handle top of funnel friction? Because what's happening, and this now becomes just an arms race between
Yep.
companies and job seekers, which is really frustrating for both sides. Candidate or companies, recruiters in particular, are overwhelmed with volume. One of the
And fake
blessings of a
resumes to
startup.
add
I
to
don't
it
I
as
don't
well.
have the
It's a
volume I
whole
had at
nother
previous
wonderful problem.
exactly. Not my problem currently today, thank you, but I've definitely seen it in other companies. So we're already dealing with massive volume.
Mhm.
And within that volume, there's a lot of just really misaligned submittals.
Mhm.
So recruiters are kind of forced to figure out different ways to filter that large list in
Yep.
a compliant way, in a fair way, and in
Yep.
a this will pass an audit way, right? Because we are
Mhm.
bound
Mhm.
by various state, local,
Yep.
federal regulations, etc. So recruiters are doing a lot of what I call top of funnel friction. This could be open ended application questions, this can be knockout questions. This
Mhm.
could be even things like upload a 2-minute video of yourself, which I don't
Oh, yeah.
love, but I understand that some companies are choosing to
They're
use
doing
features
that.
like that. Um, Auto
Spark hire.
appliers don't know what to do with that.
Spark hire.
So an auto apply right? So an auto
Yep.
applier and I've seen the screenshots, like, I've seen my friends have shown me, what they're up against, and a lot of times those answers will say something and I've even seen a few where it's like, I'm an auto applier. Please review the resume or please, whatever. Like they either skip it entirely or there's some kind of weird like notification language. So if you're a recruiter on the other side
Mhm.
of that application, you're going to actually hone in on and shortlist the candidates who have done human answers
Right.
to that top of funnel friction.
Yep.
So, I'm not a fan. I would not personally use it myself.
Mhm.
I cannot tell, other job seekers that they should or shouldn't. That's a personal decision.
Right.
I have yet to be sold on the value of these tools. I haven't seen it.
Let me also talk about another piece of this.
Yeah.
So that's the candidate side. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the internal TA side
Yeah.
of AI and what is also a problem.
Yeah.
So the big elephant in the room is I believe it was Workday that got sued because
Mhm.
of their
Currently ongoing. Yep.
auto ranking of AI, right? And there was another tool that went through the same thing.
Eightfold is also
Ah,
in a
yes,
lawsuit
that's
right
the
now.
one. Yep.
But the
So,
Workday one is especially interesting because they didn't even own that AI technology until after the suit was filed.
what? I didn't know that. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Oh, I've done so Mike, the things I know about this Workday lawsuit are it would curl your hair. I have just it's
Well, you
become
have
my
to know it because
personality.
now of your
I've been
position. And even us, I
I've
mean,
been tracking.
even if you're on the recruiting, kind
Mhm.
of front end, honestly, yes, the rankers are good, but you should look at every resume because
Yeah.
let's just say this. You're leaving candidates on the table. You're
Yeah.
leaving talent on the table
Yeah.
if you don't have a human in the loop. And for all the I mean, all these vendors are trying to
Mhm.
sell you the sky. But
Mhm.
the funny part is what gets the recruiting done still?
Mhm.
The in-person phone call, the
Mhm.
human part of it, the human reach out,
Mhm.
the connections, the networking. These things still matter. And if you're a
Very
job
much.
seeker, flip, re-engineer the script and network and personalize
Yeah.
and continue to do those things. You can personalize with AI. Use it, please.
Sure.
But
Sure.
check it. Check what it's saying, what it's sending.
Mhm.
Don't do the auto applier. Even if you have to apply, just be selective about what you apply to.
I would agree.
So you're not
Yeah.
doing the spaghetti approach and throwing it at the wall and hoping it sticks. I mean, human beings still hire people. That's the reality. And the more you can okay, let me tell this story because I think this is really
Yes,
cool.
please.
I had a friend of mine who was I taught him some Boolean, some like
Mhm.
backdoor Boolean. I did the site thing, the site dot dot LinkedIn /in, taught him how to search on there and he loved it. And I was like, okay, just try this and you can reach the HR and the recruiters. And I showed him on how to plug that in on Google.
Mhm.
And he was like, oh, you mean these are all people I can call? And I said, yes.
Mhm.
And then what you do is you get the company list and you get the phone number from that company,
Mhm.
and then you call into the company using their dial by name directory. Or if even if you get the gatekeeper, you can still say you're
Mhm.
calling the network.
Yeah.
They'll pass you along 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And even so,
Sure.
that still works. And he got like 4 or 5 interviews out of it. And
That's
now has an offer
awesome. Love
because he
that.
re-engineered and was doing the old-fashioned phone networking game,
Still
right?
works.
It still works. And so, I mean, there's so many things that you and I, remember when we had back and forth, and we would laugh about this. Oh, the
Mhm.
AI is coming to take our jobs as
Oh gosh,
recruiters.
yes. Just
There's
like
that, and
Monster did in 1999. I
uh-huh,
remember.
exactly. And now look at where I mean, job boards are gone, right?
Mhm.
Job boards are like a thing of the past.
Yeah.
We've got the main things that are still used, for people to apply to or go to are Indeed,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, and ZipRecruiter. Those are
Yeah.
the big three, right? So think of all of those have changed. It's just so insane.
Yeah.
And please try video as a recruiting organization. Put video selling why your job is so cool
Yeah.
because that still works and people it's shown to increase engagement and the quality of the funnel
Yeah.
of applies by like 50%, which is pretty insane. And
Oh
so,
wow. I hadn't seen that
yeah,
stat. That's wild.
yeah, it works.
Very
What
cool.
else do you want to talk about?
Oh
There's
my
so many things
goodness.
there's
There's
so
so
many
many
things
things.
like these past few years and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I wanted to get across to job seekers today
Mhm.
especially Gen Z job seekers who are
Yeah.
struggling at the moment. Um, Please keep going, because
Yeah.
just remember, human beings hire humans,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you can feel like this upcoming generation feels sometimes, they're struggling with getting into an
Of
entry level
course. It's
job.
a
And
very yeah, it's very hard. It's
yep,
very I all the sympathy in the world because I've got young, well, my kids aren't they're young adults. I mean, my youngest is gonna be 21 in a couple of weeks, but
that's awesome.
they're dealing with that, right? Like trying to figure
Yep,
out their career path. And I've got another one. My youngest daughter is going to be starting college in the fall, and kind of going that route. And it's hard, but yeah, to your point, where you go next is not where you stay forever.
that's right.
And I think that's another risk that I see, especially with some of the more early career job seekers, is like, well, if I don't land the perfect job out of school, or I don't get my dream company, or if I don't hit, a certain level or, scope of work in my first or second job, we all start somewhere. And it is absolutely okay to take that job that might be beneath you, or that small company that no one's heard of. Like, you don't need to be a senior dev at Google straight out the gate.
That's
I
right.
promise you can grow into it. So
And let
I
me let
had
me
a
say
good
this:
15 years under my belt before I joined Google.
construction
So
and the trades,
yeah,
they have a shortage. And
exactly.
if you're up
Exactly.
and coming, you can make a great career
Hmm.
in the construction industry.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
many options there. And
My youngest is in manufacturing, and that's another space that's
right.
very, very
Yep.
lucrative, and we don't have enough talent there, and they plucked
Hmm.
him out. And again, kinda same advice I gave him, like, take the entry level gig, like, take the low pay, take the bottom of the rung, work your way up. He's been there for a year and 10 months, and he's been promoted twice.
That's awesome. Yeah, and
So
that for folks who think that fast food, gig work, any of these
mhm,
things are beneath you, they're not. It's
yeah.
honest work, and you
Hey,
can make a living
that's right,
doing it. And there's
that's
actually
right.
some of those things that can lead to great opportunities for you, and don't rule them out. But if you take one of those, then, get the foundation of your
Mhm,
income taken care of. It's the
mhm,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
absolutely.
You have to have that mindset. Okay, I
Mhm,
build the pyramid. You're building
right.
up to that self-actualization. You're getting your
Mhm,
basic needs met,
mhm,
you're working up. It's okay to do that. We
100%.
we've gotten into a world where that's kind of been lost, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I think for some, for sure, yeah. And again, like, I think there's a lot, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So if you're only seeing the highlight reels on Instagram, and everybody's a raging success, and everybody's making six figures and all the things, like, it can be demoralizing, and you can think, well, gosh, what's wrong with me? I'm not getting that opportunity. I didn't get that call back. I'm not being courted by big giant company. And again, you're seeing the highlight reel of a small subsection of the
that's right.
population. So don't
Well,
don't
and
let that
and just
stuff put you
remember,
down.
people don't always post. Now, I try to post, some human things, and just
Mhm.
try to be
Yeah,
real. So, what you see is what you get, type of thing
absolutely.
for my
Yeah.
brand. But honestly, people post the most perfect things of themselves. It's not always the reality, and
Exactly.
that's a real thing you have to be aware of. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're in a weird time in TA. I'm going to give a shout out, like a shameless plug. But on August 4th, I have an ERE webinar, and
Oh,
I'm going to
fun.
address
Okay.
a lot of the issues that have happened from
Nice.
2020 till now.
Yeah.
We're going to look at some of the data and why certain things feel the way they do.
Mhm.
And then, I'm going to join the ERA team and present something that I'm going to
That's
try
awesome.
add value to the talent acquisition community, and talk
Yeah.
about where we've been and how to stay ahead of the curve and get
Mhm.
back to the basics that made
Mhm.
us great recruiters in the first place. Like, being human, helping people out,
Yeah.
opening doors for people,
Yeah.
doing things for the right reasons, having ethics as a recruiter, all these things that
Absolutely.
matter. And so, in the talent advisor model, which still
Mhm.
works. I mean,
Mhm.
it's so funny how I had a friend of mine when I first started staffing. Um, this amazing manager, Maria Delicio. I remember her so
Mhm.
well, and she said to me, "The more things change, the more they stay the same." And that's the reality. We're in an
Mhm.
interesting time where you have to make sense of all these different things. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw the stats on LinkedIn earlier this year that it was something like close to 80% of recruiters felt unprepared for this year.
Wow.
And there was another, it was like something like 70% of candidates didn't feel ready for the AI boom. And again, here's
Mm.
what we have in the midst of all this. It's like shiny object syndrome.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Exactly. I
like
yes, exactly
it's like
that.
we're almost going back in time to when
Yeah.
the internet came into recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, we remember that. I mean, go back in time to 1999 to that,
Yeah.
well, the 1990s up to now.
Mhm.
How did they
Mhm.
used to recruit? They pulled out a phone book,
Yep.
they did phone sourcing, and they
Yep.
made phone calls,
Yep. And I would
right?
invite people into the office and hand them a clipboard and chase down my pen when they left with it.
And fill out a
Paper
wonderful
applications.
application.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think that's another
And
thing that's
filing
made
cabinets.
this yeah, a real filing cabinet. That's another thing that's made this market especially difficult is because even in the '08 recession, for example, or the '05, housing debacle, things like that, the world was smaller, right? We
Mhm.
didn't have as much remote work wasn't as common or popular,
Yep.
like COVID kind of changed that. Um, and so you were competing with people within 50 miles of you. Now
Mhm.
you're competing with anyone with an
People
internet connection.
outside of the country
So
sometimes. Yeah.
exactly. So it's even if those people aren't fully qualified and maybe not your true quote unquote competition, it does add to the noise. And then you have
Mhm.
a bunch of recruiters who are struggling with how do I separate the signal from the noise without losing great people. And there's always that risk. Like none of us are perfect and none of us have a perfect process. So no matter what tools we use, no matter how much we use our own brains and our own eyeballs, just due to sheer volume, there's always that non-zero possibility that we miss someone great just because they got lost in the noise.
Well, I've been wanting to ask you this fun question.
Yeah, let's
There
hear
was
it.
the one, so what kind of shot you up into popularity into where you currently are was there was 2 things. It was the recruiting blogs,
Yeah,
community, which has kind of
yes.
gone the way of the
I
dinosaur now. Unfortunately,
know.
it's sad, but
Yeah.
then and I was an active participant on that. I mean, it's not that long ago, but it's probably about what, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The other one was, the recruiting animal show.
Yes.
So I was wanting to ask you about your first time on the recruiting animal show and what was that like? Do you
Oh my god, I remember. It
Yeah,
was, I think it
Michael
was
Kellerman, right?
2011, yes, I think it was 2011. And I was working for a very small company called Zones at the time, and so Michael had reached out, Recruiting Animal had reached out and said, "Hey, would you" somebody said I was funny. Somebody told him I was funny. I think it might have been one of the recruiting blogs guys.
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, so and so said you're funny. Do you want to come be on the show?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. I've never even heard of this. I don't know what it is." I was very, very young and shy. So he's like, "You got to get permission from your boss." I said, "Okay." So I go to my boss, Natalie, here's this radio show. I don't know anything about it. What do you?
Permission.
She's like, "Yeah, go for it." Okay, great. So I get on this show. My team is listening. They're dialing in. I'm in a conference room, on the show. And we finish the show, and his whole shtick is to like yell at you and make you uncomfortable, which I thought was hilarious. And I walk out of the conference room and back to my desk, and my entire team stands up and claps. And I was like, "Did I do okay?" They're like, "You were amazing." So it just kind of, went
Yep.
from there, and I was a regular guest and regular, kind of sidekick. I joined a lot when my schedule permitted, and I was actually won an award. It's on my LinkedIn profile. I was the best guest of 2011. So
Oh, nice.
well done, Ames.
Oh, man.
But it was a lot of fun. And to your point though, like I met a lot of really great industry folks and made a lot of really strong long-term industry friends, and
Yep.
I started going to conferences and I started then you get invited to speak at conferences and it just
That's
it
right.
all just snowballed from there. So I think it goes back to something you said earlier, like just say yes. Say yes to those opportunities. Like you can't say yes to everything. You can't do it all, but do the thing that just scares the heck out of you and just go for
And
it,
isn't
and
that interesting that
you'll see.
a lot of the conferences have,
Yeah,
so you look at from 2021 up to this point, and a lot of the budgets were shrinking
yeah,
for TA, right? And that's another almost what is the word I want to use? Casualty of
Mhm.
this budget
Mhm.
cycle
Well,
post 2020 thing
yeah,
is there's not as many conferences or local recruiter meetups as there used to be.
right.
So
No,
I would
it's true.
recommend start one and get
Yeah,
that going
definitely.
because you all need a hole in the wall gang, as the
Mhm.
saying goes.
Mhm.
You need folks. See, this is why I have my tribe that
Yeah.
I can reach out to because of my SourceCon ERE
Oh,
participation. I
yeah.
have my buddies who I can reach out to and
Mhm.
say, "What do I do with this situation?" and
Oh,
bounce an idea
100%.
off of them.
100%.
And you
Yeah.
do that too, right? I mean, it's
All the
so
time.
community is very
All the
important
time.
in the
Yeah,
modern recruiting era, and
I
let's not
agree.
lose it. Let's keep moving that conversation because
Yeah.
that's the stuff. That's the reason our my vlogcasts exist. That's the reason
Yeah.
recruiting and yoga pants exists.
Mhm.
Well, Amy, this has
Mhm.
been a lot of fun,
Thank you
and
for
we're
having
coming
me.
to time,
Yeah.
but it's been a fun journey with you,
Thank
and we
you.
will have you on again
I
sometime.
would love
Great
that.
conversation catching up, and congrats on the new role.
Thank you
Congrats to
so
me on my
much.
role. But
Yes, and congrats on
yep.
your health as well. I'm
Oh my
so
goodness, yes.
glad you're
No,
healthy.
like I said, the one thing I want to drive home today, pick up that phone and call people you care about.
Yeah. Yeah,
There is a
definitely.
lot of people that are in a place of need, and we're a human
Yeah,
function, and that's what we need more of. We need more
absolutely.
human recruiters once again. And so this
I
year,
agree.
I've decided I'm elevating my game in all I do. I live purposefully every day. Um, I just
I love
smile
it.
all the time. I make
You
sure I'm
got to.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
It's
thanks for
contagious, my
coming.
friend. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
coming on.
having
Where's your
me.
next? It's good to see all of you. Until next